This is Why Am I a Mets Fan? A podcast hosted by Samantha Croston and Ashley Wenskoski.
What's up, everyone? Welcome into another episode of the Why Am I a Mets Fan podcast. That's Ashley Wenskoski. I'm Samantha Croston, and we are sports reporters in Syracuse, New York with a baseball podcast. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Road to 10,000 subscribers just got a little bit easier thanks to a cool, fun, dope trip to Citi Field. What's up?
Hi. Hello, everyone. Yes, we're back from Citi Field, the land of trash can podcasts and the like. Had a wonderful little time, home opener. Great to be there. The weather was lovely. It was just lovely. I'm very glad that we turned that into a reality, that you all helped us turn that into a reality. Being press credentialed at a Mets game at 24 years old was not something that I ever thought was in my future. So that was really, really cool.
Yeah, I think it's important that you guys all know that you guys being subscribed and being a part of this journey is what takes these dreams for us into a reality. It's what turns them into a reality. So we're really appreciative of, love the fact that you guys were commenting and being a part of it and appreciated the content, and we hope to bring you more of that soon. And honestly, I would love to go back. And this is not me saying that any of that's been set in stone, but it really got me thinking, could we go back for the playoffs? Should we go back during the Dodgers series? I don't know. I got ideas.
What if anything?
What if anything?
All I have to say is, maybe if the Mets do some things later on this season, maybe it's because of us. We were there on opening night. That's all I have to say. I don't know. Maybe we're a good luck charm.
Who is to say? We're here to talk about some of our takeaways from Citi Field, as well as the Mets' start to the season. At this point, they are 10 games through the season, is that right? And they're playing their 11th game right now.
Yep.
So just know that they're in the process of playing a game against the Marlins right now. All the stats that we have here that you're going to hear throughout the course of the episode are not including today's game. But that's showbiz, and we have other full-time jobs. But we appreciate you guys being here. Let's talk Citi Field for a second. I know you want to make a little announcement about another episode we're going to do later in the week.
On Friday, just to keep bringing you guys content, we also still have more social content coming out that we kind of banked from fans when we were there. Some fun stuff, so you can be on the lookout for that to keep dropping. But I want to do like a Citi Field bits and bops, a Citi Field what if anything takeaways on just literally our observations as people that have never been there, getting to see some of the behind the scenes stuff, right? We got to go into the clubhouse. We got to go into the press room. That's places that we've never been before. I'm sure many of you have never been before, and that most actual podcasters will never get to go, because the true reason why we were credentialed was honestly through our TV station. It was not, it was obviously for this podcast and to create digital and social content, but we also did hits for TV that night, and I would go out on a limb to say we're able to get those press passes because we work at a legitimate TV station that happens to be in the town that the Syracuse Mets play in. So,
and we also love Jason Smorrell, the Syracuse Mets general manager, who gave us a gigantic assist, and we're really thankful and grateful for his help.
A lot of what we can do both here and there and at the Syracuse Mets is because of him, so we are very grateful for him.
And our bosses and CMY Central as an organization. So thank you to all those people, as well as Pete Giannessi,
love Pete,
who we call him Podcast Pete. I don't even know if he knows that. He'll know now. Who is actually in charge of the podcasting department at Sinclair.
Yes. Anyways, all that to say, I feel as though, just from a general fan perspective, I think a bits and bops on just some of our observations on the clubhouse and what players were interacting with each other and the press stuff, the media meal. Random stuff. I feel like that's entertaining. So we're going to look to drop a quick episode Friday, a little maybe 10, 15 minute quick hitter on some of that more trivial stuff, because you go in there and this is the team you've loved your whole life, right? And of course you're a professional member of the media, but yeah, sure, I'm standing there, noticing whose lockers next to each other and all that.
And some of it's exactly what you're expecting, and other parts of it aren't what you're expecting at all. So if you guys have any questions, if this interests you, we hope it does, ask us anything about whether it was our jobs and what we did that day, or it's just things you want to know about Citi Field or the players.
Behind the scenes.
Anything behind the scenes, we want to give you guys a look into that. So be on the lookout for that and drop any of your questions in the comments and we'll get to them.
We had a great time.
Oh my God, we had a wonderful time. And we're also continuing our question of the week segment. So we will answer one of those this week, or maybe even two that we saw. And beyond that, keep on asking the questions of the week, and we will continue to answer them. All that being said, let's start with the fact that the Mets swept the Blue Jays. The game that we were at, despite the fact that we didn't watch a ton of it, they won 5-0. It was a McGill bullpen pitches shutout, and Alonso 2-run homer, as well as a Soto RBI double. That Alonso 2-run homer was absolutely electric. I know we're not going to probably go through every single day because obviously those are from sort of a long time ago, but that Alonso 2-run homer was important for me.
Yeah, definitely. We were outside still filming some promo stuff. A lot of fans, first of all, filtering in as the game got started. And then I think it was just a weird game time, right? 3:10 start. I mean, we were up there in the rotunda. Fans were like filtering in like the 5th inning. I'm like, kudos to you all. I assume you just got off of work or something. Really shows how much people wanted to be there. But like, you got 4 innings of baseball to watch. Anyway, fans, we heard the cheers from outside. We heard the MVP cheers for Lindor when he stretched that single into a double. So really just great stuff to kick off the home opener. The energy inside that place, I mean, again, we didn't get to watch much of it. We were candid with you on the post-game episode that we really got to watch like an inning. We had so much to do. But
Ashley was not pleased with that, by the way.
I was not. I really, guys, I just wanted like 30 minutes in the press box to just take things in, and I didn't get it. So we fight on. But yeah, what we did see and the energy that we saw was crazy. I mean, sold out crowd. It felt like the playoffs in that place on April 4th, you know, which is a testament to the fans.
Completely. And honestly, I say that the Alonso 2-run homer was symbolic just because obviously, you know, with the negotiations and how long that took and how much of a disaster that seemed to be, the fact that he's here and he really has been on a heater, which we'll get into, proves this is where he's meant to be, at least in my opinion. So I was mostly just happy for him.
Touching.
It was touching. Saturday, the Mets win 3-2. Sunday, the Mets win 2-1. Anything out of those 2 games that really stuck out to you?
Yeah, I mean, the Mets win on Sunday due to a Jesse Winker 2-out triple. They're like losing the whole game. Saturday, so sorry. Winker comes up in the bottom of the 8th, hits a 2-out triple. Lindor walks, Soto singles to set it up. Let's just take a minute and discuss Jesse Winker. Or as all of the fans that we were encountering at Citi Field were referring to him as Jesse Winkler. All right, that is not, I don't know if it's like the New York accent. I don't know if some of the folks we were speaking to were a little overserved and intoxicated, possibly.
Not overserved. But and not an accent. It's another letter.
There were multiple, like maybe 3 Jesse Winklers. And I was like, folks, that's not his name.
That's going to be included in the bits and bops because literally her and I are looking at each other like, what
Every
is
time
going
someone
on?
said that, what is happening?
So confusing to me.
We also got to do like a solo interview with him pregame, which was awesome. He talked about how his daughter's its inspiration, how he didn't want to be on any other team besides the Mets, the whole 9 yards. I love that Jesse Winker's back on this team. I know a lot of the talk has been like, oh, OMG isn't here. The energy, is it going to be the same? Is it going to be different? At the end of the day, this cast of characters is 90% of the same cast of characters as last season, and Jesse Winker was an underrated part of that.
And truthfully, like, I don't think this comes as news to anybody, but I almost think this is why I really like Winker as a person on this team. Jesse Winker really does not fit the mold of Mets and all of the Mets that are on there right now.
Jesse
you think
Winker,
about Mets,
yeah.
he's one of one. It's like you see a lot of these Mets players and it's, you know, stand-up guys, you know, pretty, not to say like Jesse Winker is not accepting, I'm just talking general Mets, you know, accepting, calm, patient, respectful. Like Jesse Winker, I feel like at all times is ready to break out into an energetic whatever or a fight. Like he is always like on the ready, kind of has that like dirty energy about him where he's like, you just sort of feel like don't test him. Like he's the kind of guy who the entire bullpen's coming out because something's getting started.
No,
and I'm okay with it though.
No, Jesse
like
Winker, he has Phillies energy, and that's derogatory because I think the Phillies have terrible energy. We've touched on that, but to have one, I'll take one. That's fine. You need a spark plug.
Phillies energy is perfect, and it suits him. And you know what else I like? Jesse Winker is going to Jesse Winker. Yeah. He's not changing himself for anyone. He's not changing his behavior for the culture of any team. Not to mention, he does have a soft spot, and you see that. Like, when you listen to him say, I want to play well for my daughter, it's obvious that he actually is a standout guy. He just has a certain way about him that you just don't see from the normal Met. And like I said, I just don't think that's a bad thing. Not to mention, that game, he had 2 triples. He's hitting great. He is somebody who could, I think, be the next OMG. It's not the exact same energy. I don't envision him breaking out into song and dance at the end of of the series.
Oh my God.
But I think he has a different kind of energy that Mets fans really appreciate.
And I think huge depth piece in the outfield, right? That outfield without him, a lot less tantalizing to me. So having Winker in there and kind of a platoonish outfield role is great stuff.
Great hair.
And he has great hair. I mean, somebody commented on on the video we put out of him and said it looks like he is wearing a hairpiece. Like it looks like that hair is attached to his hat. And I looked at it and I was like, that's a bar. Like they're not wrong.
That's so funny because I feel like since last year he's been growing it out even longer. It looked really long.
Get that man a shampoo commercial.
Yeah, totally. Like he's got the flow. Which that part I feel like makes sense and checks out. He couldn't be a Yankee.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
That's so funny. It's a 10. Anyway, and then we move on to the Marlins series, which is essentially brings us to right now.
Yeah.
They won 2-0 on Monday. And today, Ashley's going to tell us what happened right now. Or
about
what is
to win.
happening.
Oh, they just won 10-5.
Dope.
Little offensive outburst for that little team today. Love to see it.
Love an offensive outburst. And I believe I am right about this because I heard Gary Cohen just saying it. He said that 10 runs tied their season high for the amount of runs scored. So that is good news, and that makes me feel happy to hear.
Delightful.
I was just going to say, it brings us to our big takeaways for this season. The Mets are now 8-3, assuming
6-game winning streak.
Unbelievable. I
Love
mean,
it.
You know what? I see a lot of bullet points here. There's something I want to say just before we get into all that. Remember where we were last May and where we are now?
Things were dark.
This is not an 0-5. Like, that's what makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Like, forget about, position by position. It's just the Mets were not good to start last year. And to start this year, they were good.
Yeah.
That maybe means that to end the year, they could be great.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
They were great last year, too.
I
You know
think
what I mean?
something that we were talking about when we were there, with Mendoza, with the players that we were talking to is, do you feel like the energy has carried over from 2024, which is a hard thing to do? Like, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it. Unless you win the World Series, which the Dodgers did, and this goes for all sports, right? Unless you win the Super Bowl. I say you are the Buffalo Bills. We use them often as the example, but like the close, the almost, but not quite all the way there. I think it's really hard to carry over momentum into the next season because it's like, well, you didn't win, you didn't go all the way, whatever. I think the Mets wholeheartedly. I mean, you see this 8-3 start. You see it's been like, I don't have the stats, but I think they sold out the whole first series. It's been like a record-breaking crowd at Citi Field the first few games of the year. I think unequivocally they've carried over the energy. I think Mets fans are more excited than they have been in a long time. That's probably not news to anyone. I'm just saying it feels like the energy surrounding the team and the players and all of it has carried over from last fall.
Obviously, Juan Soto is a part of that.
Yeah.
Let's be real. I do think you're seeing a lot of 22 jerseys out there in Citi Field, and it changes the energy. But to your point, I'll almost go the other way and say, if you're one of those almost kind of teams, it almost makes me think you're just pissed off even more.
Yeah.
Like you almost have more motivation to win because you and your entire city and your entire fan base just want it so badly.
Yeah.
That's not me saying the Dodgers aren't motivated. It's very clear by their record that they continue to be motivated. All right?
We get it.
We get it. Y'all are motivated. But no, honestly, I do. I think that that actually is maybe not a bad thing.
Yeah.
And there's some sort of delayed gratification situation happening, and the Mets are in it for the long haul. So I appreciate it. Let's talk about the pitching. Do the Mets have the best pitching staff in baseball?
Right now, yeah, the answer is yes. First of all, that's one of those moments like rewind the tape, like zzz, we would have said that like a month ago, and what? What do you mean?
Also, I don't actually still necessarily think that now, but we're just going based off the stats. So everybody just take a breather.
Yeah. First of all, through the first 11 games this season, they certainly do. Well, this is stats for the first 10 games, so no one come at me. The team ERA is 1.72, the best in baseball, and it's not particularly close. The Dodgers are second best at 2.63. That's almost a full earned run.
Remarkable.
The starters have a 2.4 ERA. That was before today. The relievers, 1.29. And this is without two of their starters, Montas and Minaya. We talked about the gaggle a lot going into the start of this year, how unsure we were. The Mets pitching staff is out here overperforming day in and day out, winning them close games. Today they scored 10 runs. That's nice. But you see over the weekend on Sunday or Monday, it's a 2-0 game and the bullpen throws scoreless innings. So to me, something that I will let myself get excited about, I think April is too soon to get excited about a lot of things, but the prospect even of this pitching staff being above average, like pretty good with the lineup and the bats that they have. That is an exciting prospect.
Especially, as you said, without two of their starters. The 2.40 ERA for the starters without two of the starters is impressive. But the 1.29 for the relievers?
I mean, come on.
It's almost better.
First of all, Reed, Garrick, Kranick, AJ Minter, up until today, Brazoban, he kind of had a slide today, but it didn't matter because they won anyway. They have just had a fantastic start to the year, Edwin Diaz included. They've been money. Now, I know that bullpens are fickle, and that won't continue throughout the whole year. But, I mean, the addition of Kranick and Minter really, really appears to be huge.
Yeah, you also have here just some of the New York Mets team pitching stats through the first three series. ERA 1.91, best in the MLB, 84 strikeouts, ninth in the MLB, hits allowed 58, fifth least in the MLB, home runs are allowed, 4 least in the MLB. These are real stats, real numbers.
Yeah.
That a month ago you would have been like, no way.
Top tier stuff. Senga the other day goes 5 scoreless. He's thrown 77 pitches in his first 2 starts. I think the one thing that you're looking for, which this is too early to say in the first week or two of the season, is definitely some more depth from these guys. You know, Canning will go out there. What's Canning? Who's the other one? Who's the Holmes?
Holmes, okay.
It'll be like 4 innings pitch, 5 innings pitch. You know, you definitely want to see them get deeper into some games, even like a Senga, 5 innings pitch. Let's try to go into the 6th, 7th. But I get it. It's the first week or two. They're still getting adjusted. Some depth would be nice, but in the absence of the depth, the bullpen's holding it down. So who am I to even complain?
Honestly, big Holmes girl. Big homestand. Definitely want to. Yeah, there is some intrigue there. I want to see more of what comes to that. That's the rose. Here's the thorn. The Mets 6 through 9 hitters.
Disaster class. I mean, the bottom of the lineup, folks, has been a mess. And now it hasn't mattered. I mean, they're on a 6-game winning streak. I feel like
for now.
Right, for now. But the 6 through 9 hitters in the lineup have been a mess. Going into today, they were 13 for 86, hitting a combined 151, 24 strikeouts, and a total of 3 RBIs. Now, there's some help on the way, right? We'll get into it. Jeff McNeil will start a rehab assignment next week, per Carlos Mendoza today. McNeil is going to head down to Florida today to continue rehabbing in a little bit of warmer weather. And Mendoza said that both Alvarez is set to start a rehab assignment tomorrow. Francisco Alvarez, could that be in Syracuse? Who knows? We'll keep you informed. But anyway, McNeil and Alvarez are both on their way back in the next few weeks. That means, old friend, Brett Baty, your timer, I mean, the clock is ticking and it's running out.
And I have to say, I get it, help is on the way, but like true as that may be, the 4 bullet points that you just listed off from a stat standpoint is disgusting.
Horrific.
It really like needs to change, and I'm needing to see something more. That could be Brett Baty, and you're right. It kind of brings us to this discussion we've had so many times, and we're going to continue doing it until they figure out what they're going to do.
Answering one of our questions of the week, we saw you guys put it in the comments, James Buckley and others. So Baty or Acuna?
Yeah, I mean, I guess right now, it is funny because in my heart of hearts, I really do believe that Baty has more upside. I don't know why I feel that way, but I couldn't answer that that way today, honestly. I'd have to tell you Acuna.
Yeah.
Because why don't you read what you were telling me before about what it is that they did as far as switching him out, and then I'll explain why I feel that way.
Yeah, so Baty is 4 for 24 to start the season. He has no homers, no RBI. Baty and Acuna together have 6 hits combined, and they each had 1 today. So going into the day, they had 4. Acuna is not going to be your offense. He's not going to be the guy you hang your hat on to get hits in the lineup. However, I think today, in today's game against the Marlins, Tuesday, was the perfect example of what's going to happen here and why. Today, Baty in, I don't know what inning, I'm watching while I'm doing the shows, 4:10 game today. Love when that happens and I can watch while I'm putting together our sportscast, by the way. Baty hits an infield single. He kind of legs it out. Okay, nice. Brett, good hustle. You're really trying to get anything you can out there. He then promptly, after he hits that single, I believe it's like the bottom of the 6th or the bottom of the 7th. It's a 1-run game at this point. It's 6-5 Mets, okay? Promptly, he gets subbed out. He reaches first base. You're gone. He gets yanked for Acuna to pinch run for him, and then Acuna stays in the game for defensive purposes because it's a 1-run game to play second base. Does that seem promising if you're Brett to think about, oh, this is a close game and I just legged out a little dribbler and now they're bringing in Acuna because he has 2 skills that I don't have. And then later in the game, I should add, Acuna promptly stole a base. Things Brett Baty doesn't really do consistently at the major league level. I am not trying to hate on Brett Baty. I said before the season I would like to see him succeed. He is not succeeding through the first 10 games. It is, the Brett Baty clock is is running out.
He is not succeeding yet. He might not succeed at all. We talked about the fact that he was sort of on borrowed time here. And this was like a last tryout that in other lifetimes he wouldn't have even gotten.
Yeah.
But he's getting it now. And I don't, this is what it comes down to for me. Obviously, Acuna has the leg up in pretty much every area besides hitting and the offense. If Brett Baty is not really, performing at the very least, but even overperforming a little, if we're not seeing any signs of what was being seen in the preseason, then I really think that his time is coming to a close. It would have to be something substantial where all of a sudden that 6 through 9 slot, like he is really helping to boost the average.
And he's not. And
he's
this
not.
is, to me, this is last chance you for Brett Baty. To me, if I'm Brett Baty and I'm seeing Jeff McNeil get on a plane to Florida today, like I'm starting to sweat. Time is of the essence. I know it's a really small sample size. Again, you feel bad for the guy, right? This is 10 games, and McNeil's already going to start a rehab assignment. Like the McNeil injury is not a long amount of time, but with McNeil, with Acuna, with obviously Vientos at third, it's like I don't know what they do with him. That's the question that we've been asking ourselves since the beginning of the season. If he's not hitting, which is pretty much what he's supposed to provide you with, what's he doing? What's he bringing to you?
What is he going to do? There may just not be space or room, or it may just make more sense in the chess game that the Mets like to play to give him up and see what else is out there. It makes me feel sad to say. I still stand on what I said earlier, which is that I do honestly believe that the second that Brett Baty is no longer with the Mets organization, I could see a version where he swiftly glows up.
I agree wholeheartedly.
And has a different path elsewhere. It doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen for him in the Mets, New York City, biggest market. I do honestly think, now that I've seen this kind of happen a couple times, I do wonder if the pressure gets him a little bit. And that's not me singling him out. Who wouldn't feel pressure in that situation, knowing that like every single time you've been up there and every single at-bat is like now or never. And you can tell, honestly, that it's getting to him because in so many of the at-bats I watch, it's not even discipline at-bats. It is really not quality at-bats at all.
Yeah.
And so much of the time, he gets behind on the count 0-2. What exactly are you going to do from there? I just feel like every pitch in his mind, he's swinging for the fences because he's trying to prove a point. It's like you just can't do that. Like you have to just, it's the last chance anyway. It's kind of like, what do you have to lose? And somehow you have to get back into that mindset as opposed to just trying to wow everybody and disappointing everybody.
I agree that he does seem to be behind and counts off, and it's like he's behind before he even starts. But I think he's the perfect, you said it, I've said it before, like I agree that he is totally giving a player that could leave the Mets and completely break out. It's giving Justin Turner to me. It's happened a lot of times throughout Mets history. I don't know. Does he just need to change the scenery? I don't know. It's the age-old question of that triple or quadruple A player. Brett Baty is out here raking in spring training. The minute he gets to New York, it's just shut down, locked down, and we've seen it multiple times at this point. This is not a fluke. It is not the first time that we've seen it. So I don't know. What else is there to say?
Nothing. I'd be happy for him if that happens for two reasons. A, I want him to succeed. And B, if you're a Mets fan and that happens, don't be disappointed.
Yeah.
Because just because he performed better somewhere else, we need to look it honestly, it reminds me of any relationship. You need to look at what the person is providing you right now. And he is not providing you enough right now. He might do great somewhere else.
Sure.
But you're not looking to wait around and see if that changes, are you?
No, you're not. I think
out.
if Brett Baty sees Syracuse, New York again, which it seems like he's swiftly on his way to doing. Welcome back, Brett. Hello. I think that should be your signal as a Mets fan that he may have a one-way ticket out of the organization come the trade deadline.
I don't know why I feel brokenhearted for him. Can I just say it?
He's a great guy. We've talked about it so much, but it's the great guy that isn't panning out. So I don't know. Unless he probably has, realistically, Mendoza said McNeil is starting a rehab assignment next week. He is rehabbing in Florida until that point. Then he's going to start a rehab. Realistically, Baty has maybe 2 full weeks, maybe 2.5. If he gets on a tear in that time, okay, then great. We're having a different conversation come 2 weeks about maybe.
Do you think that'd be enough to change everything? Like mix everything up?
I mean, if he starts hitting out of his mind, but the likelihood that happens is not a lot. Not to mention, he's competing for time anyway. He's not starting every game.
Right, that's true. That's the other thing. It's like even his opportunities are limited.
Yeah.
Tough spot. Hoping it all works out one way or another for him. I really am. Wish him the best. Wish him well. Moving on, the Juan Soto effect. That's an interesting. You have some nice titles on these notes today.
Thank you.
It's really well done.
Thanks.
Soto has reached base in all 11 games to start the season, and the players who are batting around him having some success as well.
Yeah, the good old Juan Soto sandwich is quite a tantalizing one.
Soto Sammy.
Soto Sammy, tasty and tantalizing. And Soto himself.
Just blew out the mic on that. Have to
awesome.
laugh. Have to laugh from here.
Right, so sorry for all your ears. Francisco Lindor, not a slow start to the season. Everybody was worried for a game or two there, but Francisco, he had that kid, and things went only up from there, which I've seen him do before.
I told y'all to calm down. He was having a kid.
He had a child.
It's all good now.
A child.
Breathe.
Lindor has hit in 7 straight games. He's hitting over 360 today alone. He homered. He had a sac fly RBI. Seems to be having no problem at the plate. He's out there. He's loose. He's Francisco.
MVP.
Let's hear it for the MVP. And then Pete Alonso hitting behind Soto. I mean, this one to me is not a surprise. Pete Alonso hitting behind Juan Soto is doing more for Pete Alonso than perhaps anything else could have. Pete Alonso, we know the story. Struggled last year, the walk year, the whole debacle in the offseason. Is what's he worth? Is he worth anything? Is anybody going to sign him? The Mets finally bring him back. Okay, great. Petey's out to prove something. You want to talk about a start to the year. Going into today, he was 10 for 25, 2 home runs, 11 RBI. He has 15 RBIs total to start the year. That's second in the National League behind only Kyle Tucker. He's hitting over 400. I mean, he's getting like 2 hits a game.
You know what he's playing like?
What?
Somebody who wants to stay with the Mets.
Or somebody who wants to get more money
that too.
In the fall.
Money and a long contract and who knows what else. No, I totally agree. I think, and that's why, like I said, I really was happy for him. I do think, to our credit, for like pretty much the entire duration of what's going to happen with Pete Alonso, we're, for the most part, believers in Pete Alonso should be back here. Yeah, with the whole money thing, we got a little annoyed the same way everybody else did because we wanted the negotiations to be over. But I think we really thought Pete Alonso and the Mets make sense more than Pete Alonso and any other team. And the proof is right here on this piece of paper.
Pete Alonso was the best option for the Mets, and the Mets were the best option for Pete Alonso. I mean, just to see this, right? Okay, he is an opt-out after this year. If he wants to be, he can be a free agent again after this season, which I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'll say this all year, I think he's going to do. Why would you not try to get more money unless he falls off and feels like he won't get paid as much? I think he's going to opt out. Okay, great. You put him behind Juan Soto.
He has a baby on the way. He's got to pay bills.
Yeah, congratulations to the Alonsos, by the way. A bit and a bop, I will say, is Pete Alonso was an absolute delight. Solo interview with us. So nice, so great. So my criticism of Pete Alonso is going to completely go down just from that interaction because he was an extreme delight and he's having a child. Anyway, all this to say is I think Juan Soto hitting in front of him, if you're Pete Alonso and you looked at that when the Mets signed Soto, that would have been enough for me to come back pretty much right away, provided that it was somewhat of a fair deal. Soto hitting in front of him is doing a lot for Petey.
I mean, the RBIs alone is just... It's going to be remarkable. It is going to be outstanding.
The pitches that he's seeing, right? You can't exactly go up there and pitch around Lindor, Soto, and Alonso. You can pitch around Soto, but you saw that in the game today against the Marlins. All right, they intentionally walked Soto to load the bases, and then Pete hits a bases clearing. What was it, a double? I don't know. He cleared the bases. So you pitch around Soto, but then you got Alonso.
Like, that's the problem. Like, no good options there if you're the
None.
and I see that people are continuing to try and implement that strategy of pitching around Soto, and it is, I have to be honest, it is not working.
Then you get Pete.
It is just not working, and I really actually like the fact that the lineup has sort of that dense feel in the beginning. Obviously 6 through 9 we got problems because of that, but it makes complete sense, I think, the way that they structure that lineup. And I know that we had conversations about that earlier in the year. I have grown, obviously, to really like it for obvious reasons. I have grown to really like the way that this lineup is structured. But I agree, and I know this is not news to anyone, but I just have to say it one more time. I obviously didn't watch a ton of Juan Soto playing before he was on the Mets. I'm not a huge Yankees girl. That being said, like his at-bats and how disciplined they are, it's so impressive. Like the amount of walks he draws, I just can't believe it. I really can't.
Yeah, and that's everybody saying this isn't even, the Soto. I guess by his caliber, he's like not doing great to start the season, but he's been on base in all 11 games. He's drawing walks. He is getting his hits. Like, I get it. It's, you paid the guy nearly $800 million. You want a bona fide star, which he is going to be, but I agree with you. His plate discipline alone changes that lineup, right? Because if you know that you either have to choose to pitch around Juan Soto and then he's not going to bite, right? He's not going to, the discipline is there. Or then you have to face somebody else in this lineup you don't have to face. It just changes things. Like, as opposed to last season with Juan Soto not in that mix, right? The top of the order last year, Lindor, Nimmo, who's still in there and has been all right through the first few games, but not the caliber of the other three guys. Alonso and Soto. Soto being in the top four is just, it makes a world of a difference.
It really does. And what it comes down to is pitches that are outside of the zone, things that Juan Soto is not going to do, swing at it.
Not interested.
Not interested at all. He's like, miss me with that. Pass. Like, it is really awesome, and it has changed a lot of things. So we'll see, but it certainly, it's having a positive effect on the entire team.
Seeing good things.
Last but not least, we got to talk about it. Vladdy Daddy. He's not going to be a Met. I know we discussed that as a possibility. It's not going to happen because he re-signed with the Toronto Blue Jays on a massive deal.
The Blue Jays finally won. This is for me to tell the Blue Jays they finally won. Vladdy is, by the way, Vladdy Daddy is an inside joke. We are not being weird when we say that. That was a joke because my dad called him that, and now it's carried over. Just so you all know, because
that makes it less weird.
Makes it more weird probably, but we didn't name him that. We just went with it. Vladdy, I saw some stuff on social media when when the Blue Jays were in New York for that series. There was like a picture circulating on Twitter and the like of Vladdy out there. He's chatting with Soto and he's chatting with Lindor and the Mets, and everybody was like, Blue Jays, they're going to steal your man. Well, the Blue Jays saw that and they said, I think not. We're going to get this figured out.
Will you marry me?
Literally. Here's the checkbook. 14 years, $500 million, no deferrals. I mean, he's homegrown in Toronto. He's pretty much now going to be there for the rest of his career. Is it an overpay? Yeah. It's the third largest contract in the history of baseball. Was he going to get that on the free agent open market? I don't think so.
No.
Maybe some people do, but I think Toronto overpaid to keep him there. But you know what? If you're Toronto, as you should. This is your star. He's your homegrown guy. You need a face of the franchise. It's not like Toronto's out here running out 3-4 stars. You needed to keep Vlad home, and you did what it took.
And like you said, for the Blue Jays, there were so many misses during that free agency time.
Quite a few.
There needed to be a make.
Yeah.
There really needed to be a land here, and a significant one. Because despite the fact that the Mets swept the Blue Jays, like, it's a good team.
Yeah.
Like this is not like a bottom of the bag. Like they are a good team. They are a somewhat competitive team. They needed a nice big splash, and I think that Vladdy is the answer to that.
Yeah, gives you definitely a piece to build around for years to come if you're the Blue Jays. So the Blue Jays get it done, which means Vladdy will not be a Met. And so we'll see. I know that had come up a lot in Mets world, right? Even if Alonso opts out after this year, whatever happens with Alonso, if he's not come back to the Mets, what happens? Do the Mets try to get Vlad? Well, that's not going to occur. So you know who I bet loved to hear that was Pete Alonso, because you know who that improves the first baseman power hitting market for is Pete Alonso.
No freaking doubt. I think if you're Pete Alonso, you're thrilled to hear that. I think, again, it's going to be one of those interesting situations, and I'm so excited to talk about it, but I'm not going to jump the gun. Last final thoughts, and then we'll wrap it up.
That Pete Alonso has had quite a few wins this week. Vlad helps him out. His wife's having a kid. He's raking at the plate. Life's good right now if you're Pete Alonso.
There are times where good things just happen in threes or in numbers. He's just having that kind of week.
Yeah.
It's the same for bad things, but he's really on a heater, and I'm happy for him. The last thing I'll say, I apologize. I don't remember who wrote the comment at this point in time, but when we were looking through some of the questions, one question that somebody brought up was, would we ever consider doing a show such as this, but on the show Hot Ones? For those of you who don't know, Hot Ones is essentially a YouTube show where there's a host who interviews celebrities and asks the celebrities questions. But the catch is, while the celebrities are answering the questions, as well as the host, they're eating really hot wings. And so by question like 8 or 9, I feel like the celebrities are literally
they
like
get
crying.
hotter, right? Like the hotter the question, the hotter the wing. That's the concept.
Yep.
I've never seen it before.
But they're
by
also
the way.
like legitimately like perspirating. Like it really is funny. It's a very odd, very out there idea, but it has had massive success. And somebody asked, would we be interested in that? I want to speak for me only, but I think that you like hot things too. I could be wrong about that. Yeah, right?
Hell yeah. I love
Spice
spicy
it up.
things. Yeah.
Huge. This podcast is big on the hot sauce and big on the spicy.
Yep.
I think that would be an absolute gem and would make things so much funnier, and we're all about funny. So I just wanted to answer your question. My answer to that is a resounding yes.
My answer is also a surrounding yes. Love hot things, love spicy, all of it, love wings. It would be awesome. They would never have us on that show because, so just for context, I had looked up the show when that commenter said that. I'd never seen it, never heard of it. Great concept for a YouTube channel, has so many subscribers and whatever. Like bona fide celebrities. Like the last few have been like Selena Gomez and like A-list people go on this show.
No joke.
How do they get them? I don't know, but we are not on the short list.
People who will not be invited on that show, Sam and Ashley from Syracuse.
Awesome.
Keep trying though. Would love to go.
But would go if offered. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. And we will see you back here ideally on Friday. But if for some reason that falls through, when the next big thing happens.